Okay.
Now for our writing tips, Lynn Spreen. Thank you.
Okay, then. I don't like it when I have to hear tips from people who maybe haven't got as much mileage on them as I do. So, because I want to learn and grow from people who know more than me. So just let me establish my credentials with you right here. I've got 6 books out, all of them in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. I'm exclusively on KDP because I like to get the page reads. Anyway, I have about 3,000 reviews over those 6 books, and they average about 4.3. So I'm feeling like I'm established. It took me until I was age 58 to write my first book. And so I'm off and running now for the second half of my life. I have for you today 10 ways to create compelling characters. And this is just a collection of things that I've picked up along the way. Have you ever read a novel where the main character just sort of leaves you flat? You just have a hard time getting into the book and you're feeling like, why do I care about these people? And it's kind of a struggle to figure out, why you're going to root for them or root against them. So these 10 tips will help you make your characters compelling. First of all, and they're not in order, by the way, but anyway, number 1, give your character a superpower. For example, let's say they're an exceptional baker, or they have a real solid ability to tell when somebody's lying, something that they're good at, because everybody likes a winner. We like to root for people who are winners. And if you have a superpower, you seem sort of admirable to us, and we want you to do well. Number 2, make the character care about something other than herself, because instead of being narrow, this adds complexity to their personality. Complex personalities are more interesting and more intriguing than narrow, predictable personalities, obviously. But anyway, so make them care about something other than themselves. Number 3, this is fun. Make your good characters do bad things and your bad characters do good things. I spent most of my life working in a corporate setting, including for a law firm. So we are very rules driven, and I'm a good girl. I don't do bad stuff, except in my writing. I get to be really bad. And I think it broadens you as a writer to imagine your good characters doing bad things and your bad characters doing good things. It adds complexity and it makes your characters less predictable, which is always intriguing to the reader. So that was number 3. Number 4, give your character a passion, because this makes them interesting. And you can also use it in the story. Maybe this is something that they've been trying to do all their lives and they can't quite get to it. Maybe by the end of the book, they're able to, and that makes for a richer, more satisfying ending. So give your character a passion. Number 5, know your character's psychic wound. Now, this is definitely one of the first things you should be thinking about, because every character has to have some kind of a flaw or a misunderstanding about life that makes them interesting. And I'll tell you something I didn't know until a few years ago. Workaholism is a stress reaction. Workaholism is a variation of flight in the flight or fight reaction to stress. So if you're under stress, either short-term or maybe you were born into a family that's very stressful, you can become a workaholic because it is a form of flight. It's a way of getting away from your problems. So if you have a character who's a workaholic, their original wound that they have to overcome might be that they had a horrible childhood or a terrible marriage or something that caused them to work as a way of hiding from the world. So know your character's psychic wound. Number 6, give your character a worldview. How does she see herself in relation to everybody else? Does she think that people are generally stupid? Or does she think that people are intimidating? Is she afraid of people? Does she feel like she's smarter than everybody else and can put them over, get over on people? How does your character see herself in relation to the rest of humanity? That's an interesting aspect of character. Number 7, know what your character wants. Again, this is one of the primary things that you need to think about before you start writing, because then you can make your character work for it. And also you can put obstacles in her path. Number 8, know what your character fears. because then you have to put her in situations where she's having to face that kind of thing. Maybe she doesn't know how to speak up for herself, or maybe she's been traumatized by some kind of crime. Put her in a situation where she has to face her fears and help her grow. Because the reason we read is because we want to grow as humans. We want to learn life skills. Even if we don't really recognize that, that's why your brain finds fiction to be compelling. So put your character into a situation that she fears and help her overcome it. Number 9, give your character some blind spots. Just like real humans, characters can't be that clear on themselves. How intriguing to have a character learn something about herself and it rings true, but she learns it from another person, like her friend, or better yet, from an antagonist. So novels are about growth in one way or another. So have your character have a blind spot. And number 10, this is primarily for side characters. For main-ish characters, you go into more detail about them. But for side characters, you don't go into so much detail. You still want them to be interesting, however. So to make a side character interesting, hint that they have depth to them. Have them say something. Have Granny refer to the AR-15 in her trunk, and then leave it alone. Have them hint at depth. Okay, so that was number 10. The bonus tip that I'm going to give you, and I really feel strongly about this, is don't be gratuitous about character aspects. If you're going to give a character pink hair, she did that for a reason. Don't just throw in pink hair for no reason. You have to explain that. There has to be an indication of something that's going on with her. You want to make your characters quirky, but not just for the heck of it. Make them quirky for a reason. And those are my top 10 tips for making your characters compelling. I hope that's helpful.
Oh, very. Thank you so much, Lynn. Much appreciated. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Michelle for the introduction of our guest speaker.
Thank you, Howard. And real quick, I don't know, Howard, did you actually introduce yourself? Howard is our president. So he took over the job in November, and he's doing a fabulous job. And we thank him for doing that, because it's always hard in a volunteer organization to find people to volunteer. So, and he did. So thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Michelle.
So this is the second time that Fauzia has spoken here at Diamond Valley Writers Guild. She was slated to speak. I looked it up. You spoke in April, exactly 2 years ago, this month, 2020. And she was slated to actually drive to our meeting, which was at the end of March, 2020. Needless to say, she was our second Zoom meeting. So first off, when we get to the question and answer at the end, I'll try to kind of facilitate that. So please hold your questions to the end. If she's talking about something that you want more clarity on that subject, throw it in the chat and I'll interrupt her and ask her to reiterate on something that might not have been very, very clear. So Fauzia Burke is a book marketing expert and pioneer of online book publicity. As the founder and president of FSB Associates, she has spent more than 25 years publicizing books by best-selling authors such as Alan Alda, Ariana Huffington, Deepak Chopra, Sonia Renee Taylor, Ken Blanchard, Charles Spencer, as well as many first-time authors. In 2019, she co-founded PubSite, a platform for building author websites and used by authors like Tom Clancy, Robin Cook, and hundreds more. Fauzia also does consulting and offers a power hour for authors needing marketing advice, whether you're a first-time author overwhelmed by the idea of building a brand or an experienced author wanting to take your marketing and publicity to the next level, Fauzia can help. She's the author of Online Marketing for Busy Authors and is based in San Diego, California. So now I'll turn it over to Fauzia.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be back with this group. And I just want to thank you all for having me again. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Lynn. You guys are amazing. And I also want to thank people who are in this meeting today from my mailing list. So I want to say hello to those people. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys could come here. But also I want to thank this wonderful little organization wonderful little organization that has been so supportive. And I think for $25 a year is the bargain of the century. And I am so grateful that they made this meeting open to all authors. So I could invite people from my list. And, most people charge $25 per meeting, these writing groups. So I just think that this is an amazing organization, lovely people. So anyone who wants to join, I recommend it highly. So, well, thanks again for having me. And I wanted to talk a little bit today. I don't know what your view looks like. I'm going to try to see all of you because that's the closest I can be to being there in person. But if you want to change your view so you can see my screen, you can just go to the view part and change it to speaker so you can see my screen. So I'll share my screen a little bit with you. So today I want to talk about your author website and what you can do to make sure that it is being used to the best of your ability. So first I want to ask you, and if you can answer this in the chat, that would be great. How many, or actually just raise your hand because I can see most of you. How many of you have an author website? Yeah, so majority of you already know this is important and you already have one and it's working for you, hopefully. I think the next question I'm going to ask is, how many of you update it often? Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's one of the things I will definitely be talking about, because I think a lot of authors think of their website as a brochure. You do it, it's all nice and shiny, you get it printed, you put it in a corner and you never touch it again. So my job today will be to try to change that mindset of yours so you can actually get more out of your website. Somebody is not mute. Would you guys mind muting yourself? There's a little bit of...
I put it in the chat, but there's 2 or 3 people that have not muted their mics. It needs to be muted. I don't want to call anyone out specifically and embarrass anyone, but if you could please mute your mics, I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Howard, is that something you can do? Can you mute everyone? And then unmute Fauzia? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
I think now most of the people are unmuted.
Okay, I think we're okay.
Someone asked a question about Alan Alda in my chat. I will just tell you right now, people, I am not a multitasker. Excuse me. So I am in awe of people who can keep an eye on the chat, talk, do their presentation. Of course, today my voice has to be weird. Anyway, so someone asked me about Alan Alda. I'm just going to tell you, I've been doing book publicity and marketing for over 25 years. I started at 12. I know you're all worried. How could that be? But he's one of my favorite clients of all time. I've worked on all 3 of his books. He's absolutely as wonderful as he seems to all of you. We all think he's such a nice guy, but could that be true? Yeah, for him, it's absolutely true. For other people, not so much, and you'll have to take me out to lunch to dish on those people. But all right, so if I can share my screen, I'll give you a little bit of... So I don't have a ton of slides because all of you are probably already feeling pretty overwhelmed, and the only thing you really want to do is write your books anyway. So I'm going to try to keep the presentation light and easy so you're not feeling so overwhelmed. But what I want to talk about today is that a lot of authors really are not using their website to the best of their abilities and actually to the best of the potential. And it really is a place where if you work on it, you will sell more books. And I think a lot of authors don't realize that. So I want to just kind of make the website a central piece of your marketing and then tell you really how to use it, how to better bring people to the website, why to bring them to your website. So that's going to be my focus. And I'm going to, let's start with, there are 3 things that I'm going to touch on today. 1, if you don't have a website, please build a website. You don't need to wait till you actually have a book to have a website. You need a website for many reasons, even before you write your book. So while you're writing your book, you can actually have a blog post. So you can actually have content on your website where people can see how you write. If you're writing nonfiction, they can see your expertise, check out your writing style, get to know you. I think one of the things that I was laughing at when Lynn was giving those wonderful, wonderful 10 tips. I don't write fiction. I couldn't imagine how you guys do that. It seems like an amazing, creative endeavor. I think Howard was right in that way. But the tips that she gave actually could apply to your website as well. So some of the things you said was, show your passion, show your character's passion. That's one of the things you can definitely do on your website. So there's some of those things that she talked about for the characters can actually be for you as well. So you can think about that later, but build your website. If you have an idea for a book, build your website. Websites are not expensive these days. This is not something that you have to wait to do. Start the website, start building your audience, start bringing people to your website. So when you do have a book, your website is up and running and you can use it. The other thing is you actually have to give people a reason to visit. So my second question, when I asked everyone to raise their hands about updating their websites, that's one of the major problems with the website is that if you're not updating it, then nobody's coming to your website. Probably you're not going to your website. And not only that, then Google isn't sending anybody to your website either. So you've set up shop and now nobody's coming to it. So it's really important for you to think about what is the reason for someone to come to your website, even yourself. If you have resources on your website that you can use on a daily basis, that's great. What is your reason to go to your own website? But definitely make sure that there are reasons to give to the visitor. And then the third thing, what I think a lot of people don't do, is literally invite your readers. But you've got to give them a reason to come to your website, right? You can't just say, I have a website, please come to my website. That's not going to do it. So you need to give people a reason to invite readers, but give them a reason to visit. So that's it. Those are the three things that you have to really think about more than anything is, do you have a website? And of course, if you're going to build a website, you want it to be new, because the last few years have made a lot of changes, especially making it mobile friendly. You need to have a website that is mobile friendly, which just means that can you see it on your phone as well as can you see it on your desktop, right? Does it adapt to any screen? Because obviously now 50% of traffic is coming from phones or iPads. So you want to make sure that the website is built to basically for the audience. And then obviously you've got to give them reasons and invite the reader. So let's jump in. So the first way I want you to think about is you want to create a website that is a house for your books, right? What does your family home look like? What is it for? What is the purpose? And you sort of bring that thinking when you think about your website as well. What are people going to be doing? So it's really the function of your website is that it's the center of all of your marketing. Anything else you do really just starts from your website. So that, and I'm saying that with tons of experience, because a lot of times, even for PR, we need an author with established website. So everything you do will need it, whether you are applying to get an agent, or you're trying to get a better book deal, or you're trying to get your readers to come to your website, whatever your path is, whether you're self-publishing or traditionally publishing, you need to build a house for your for your books. The reason is because this is where you control all of the information, right? You can't control the information on Facebook. You can't control the information on other platforms. You can't even control the information on Amazon. So this is one place that you control all of the information. Nobody can kick you out of your website. So that's what you want to think about, is this is a long-term investment, and you want to make sure that the website is scalable. What that means is that a lot of sites are built for one book, let's say, right? I'm sure you've seen it. Generally, they're like a one-page site. It's made for that one book. The moment you decide you want to do a second book, you have to almost redesign the whole website. It's a big investment. It's a big investment of time and effort and money. So you want to pick a platform that just scales with you, whether you go from one book to 2 books, or 1 series to 3 series, or you go from fiction to nonfiction. You want a platform that just accommodates your career. It just builds with you. So that's a really important criteria when you're picking a platform. So let's look at the 4 goals for your website. What are the reasons to have what's the purpose of your website, right? So the first thing I would say is that you definitely want to make sure people know who you are, right? Not just a short bio on Twitter. You want to have a longer bio, maybe have some photos, have more of a bio, more of talk about your worldview. Lynn talked about having your character's worldview. This is a good chance for you to talk about your worldview. You know, how do you fit in? What are your favorite books? When did you start writing? Why is writing so important to you? Get us hooked on who you are, because once we are hooked to who you are, we're much more likely to be interested in your books. That's absolutely true. In fact, there was a study done that showed that when people had loyalty, when authors had a loyalty of the readers, their books were almost immune from bad reviews. Because if once they're connected to you, once your readers have that loyalty with you, they're not even that deterred by a bad review. So that's a really important reason that you want to build that relationship. And a lot of people will tell you, oh, you have to do that in social media. True, but social media is a wild, wild west. We all know it. Things move very, very quickly. And sometimes they'll tell you that on Twitter, to actually really make any traction, you have to post 12 to 15 times a day. Come on, who has time for that, right? So the website is really where you can show off who you are, how you write, why you write what you do. For example, I would post Lynn's 10 tips on a website, and then any one of you can forward that link around, put it on your website, put it on her website. So you have some content that you can actually show people what you're about. The second thing is that a lot of authors don't have a mailing list sign up on their website. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes authors make. Your mailing list is your single most important asset as a author, because people are much more likely to buy your books from your mailing list than from social media. And what happens is that the social media piece is just talked about all the time. I get a million questions about social media. So people ask me so much about social media, and I think, wow, people are so much more likely to buy your book from your website and your mailing list than social media. But social media is a sexy topic, so everyone talks about it. So that's the second thing. Make sure that there is a mailing list sign up on your website, and routinely you're sending people to your list and asking them to sign up for your mailing list. So I think you can even see today that the people who came to this presentation from my mailing list, it's because I sent an alert, right? I sent an announcement saying that I'll be here and people are here. So it is really valuable to have that list, and you don't have to do it every week. You don't have to do it every month. God help me, I'm not good at it. But when you do, then people do respond because you've built a little bit of rapport with them. The third thing you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're buying your books on your website, it's super easy. Do not make buying your books difficult. A lot of authors think that people will buy directly from them. That may be true sometimes if you're offering like a signed copy, and there's some aspect to that. But most of us are going to buy from basically a bookseller that we're comfortable with. So you want to make sure that you have links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, bookshop maybe, or maybe a local bookstore. I think Michelle talked about a local bookstore that's local to you guys. Add a link to that store, give them a little love because they'll appreciate that. And you make that part of the community. Then the bookstore is happy. Your people who are coming to your website have an easy way of buying your books. So make sure that there is very easy ways of buying your books, and please give a variety. A lot of authors, I know 70% of our books are sold through Amazon, but you should not only have a link to Amazon. So definitely make sure that you have links to other booksellers. And if you're traditionally published, that's even more important that you have links to Barnes & Noble, because Barnes & Noble will actually check to make sure that their their link is also available to you, to their readers. So make sure you do that. Now, the fourth thing, this is kind of an unusual one, is that I want you to start thinking about how you can monetize your writing, your work, your website. And the way I mean that, is there a way that you can give people what I'm doing, which is my power hour, right? Is there a way that you can monetize it? You can offer a class. You've done a lot. Let's say you've done, you're writing a mystery and you had to spend weeks doing research on, I don't know what to say, maybe guns, or, you had to talk to police officers about a particular crime scene situation. You did a ton of research for your book. Is it possible that you can offer that as a class, or you can take that research and offer it as a 1 hour, saving people a lot of time because you've done the work, right? You've done the research. Can you teach writing? Can you teach about query letters? Did you get an agent that you think is really great? Did you learn anything from the publishing process? If you figure out a way to monetize your work, your experience, it gives people a chance to come to your website. It gives you a little extra money. Nobody's going to make millions off of this, right? But it's something that gives you a chance to sort of monetize the work that you're doing. Because so much of what we do really is a lot of work, and we don't often make a lot of money. Book publishing is not for getting rich. Just in case I'm surprising anyone, I apologize. But this is not an enterprise for making millions for most of us. So that's one of the things you can think about. Is there a way to monetize your website? Is there a way that you can put something on your website that gives you a chance to make some money? Some of my clients, are illustrators, and they've created cards and bookmarks that they're selling. Some people have novellas that they're selling that's separate. So there's a lot of different ways, but I want you to think about what are you doing in all of those aspects? Do you have those all set up on your website? Those are the things that you can really do to enhance your website, but also make it a business instead of a brochure, right? I mean, I think a lot of authors think of their website as a brochure, like one and done. But this way, you can actually keep it as a vibrant document. As I say to my clients, your website should be a workhorse and not a show pony. Right? It shouldn't just be a pretty pony prancing around. You really need it to work for you. So these are some of the ways that you can make sure that they work for you. So now let's look at the next thing, which is, why should anybody come to our websites? What have we done that makes it easy for people to come to our website, right? So here's a couple of reasons that people should come. I'm going to give you 4 reasons. So one thing is, you want to make sure that there is unique content on your website, right? If you're just going to replicate the book page on Amazon on your website, why is anybody coming to your website? There's going to be no reason for that, right? So you want to make sure that the content on your website is found nowhere else, not on the publisher's page, not on the author's page, Amazon page. It's really only on your website that people can find this unique content. It could be, tips. It could be helpful content. It could be a backstory. It could be a side project, whatever it is that you're doing. Again, the research I was talking about, this is where you want to make sure that their content is unique. The other thing you have to do is you need to make sure that the website is updated. Now, it doesn't have to be hourly, but you want to make sure that you're using a platform that allows you to go in and make changes anytime you want. A lot of websites hire webmasters to do their website for them. The website is done, it's up and ready, and then they don't know how to update it. And every time they need to make an update, it's either more money, or it's people are busy, so it doesn't get done often. You just want more control over it. I think these days the trend is a lot of control over your own marketing. And there's a lot of tools, and I know learning them is one more thing to do, but once you do it, it's yours. So you want to use a platform. If you have a website already, take the time to learn the platform so you can update it yourself often, right? And if your website is not built for adding content easily, then it's not the right platform for a writer. It might be fine for an event planner or a photographer or a restaurant. But for you, your website needs to be breathing content and needs to have content. A lot of website templates from a lot of platforms are really like, they literally tell you have 20 words or you have 10 words. That's all you should do. And that is absolutely true for, let's say, back to the event planner. But we're writers, right? Our readers want to read. Like that's what they actually want to do when they come to our website. So make sure that you're picking a template that allows you to write, allows you to put content on your website. Now, the third thing, this is very important.
Fauzia, we had a question regarding how often you recommend people update.
So honestly, as often as you can, because the more often you update your website, the more resources more Google will send you traffic. Because one of the criteria by which Google sends you traffic is if the site is mobile friendly, if it's easy to read, if it's updated. Those are the things that Google will send people for. Now, none of us have a way to update our websites on a daily basis. It's nothing that unique. But if you have a new article, you have a new publicity hit, or you have written something new. So I think even if you think about like weekly, is there something, just think about what can I add to my website this week and have a blog. So that way you have a very easy way to add content without having to redesign the website. So I hope that helps. Okay, curated. This is one of my favorite topics. I'm going to tell you, there may be some of you who've had a website for 10 years, let's say, right? That happens to a lot of us. You've had a website for 10 years. You've been putting content on that website. You've been adding books to that website. You've got blog posts galore. How many of you, I can't see you all now, but have seen websites that are so overwhelming when you get to them that you really don't know what to do? Like there's three columns, those websites have 3 columns. There's like blog posts and there's like things. I don't know what to look at. Like, I don't know what the priority is. I don't know what you want me to do on this website. I'm obviously not going to read everything. Majority of the people come to your website for 30 seconds. That's it, 30 seconds. So what do you want them to do in 30 seconds? It's your job to curate the information so you are helping them prioritize what you want them to do in 30 seconds. And if you haven't figured out what you want them to do in 30 seconds, they're going to leave without doing any of it. So this is something that's really important for you to think about. Your job in your website is to make sure that the content is being used in a way that is appealing to the audience. If it's older, send it back. I've had authors who have blog posts from 5, 6, 7 years ago, completely out of date, but they're all up there. You just don't know. Maybe somebody will want to read it. They won't. Not only, we barely have time to read today's news, right? How many of us are even keeping up with that? So none of us are going to be reading a blog post from 6 years ago, right? So what you want to do is make sure that you're curating the information, ditching the stuff that's older, maybe rewriting it, putting it back up as new content. So constantly be thinking about how you can curate the content on your website. And that's a really important job. And a lot of authors don't think about that. I have one client of mine, she writes business books. She's written 40 people, business books. They're all up on her website. You go to her website, I feel overwhelmed, just the thought of like, how am I supposed to figure out which book is important, which is not? They can't all be important, right? They can't all be selling well. So one of the things I told her is that the books that are not selling well, you don't need to add them in the same importance as the books that are selling well. Books that are not selling well can maybe be a line listing in your bio. So you don't lose them, but you're also not showcasing them in the same way as all of the more important books. So think about the content on your website, have a critical eye, and think about, what do you want people to do if they're only going to spend 30 seconds on your website? Where are they going? Have you given them enough direction? So that's really important. And the third one is, the fourth piece, very connected to curating, is easy navigation. You don't want to turn your website into a chore where you don't know where you're going, how you got there, where to get out of there. So you want to make sure that the navigation is super easy. Not a lot of buttons, have links within the site that help people navigate that. So that's a really important thing. And all of these things are important also for sending people your way for both things. One, to invite people to your website, and two, for Google to find you on the website. If your website is often updated with unique content that's curated with easy navigation, you can send people back to your website through your social media, right? If you've written, I'm going to go back to Lynn's tips, 10 tips for your, for character development. She puts it on her website, let's say, and then she has a way to go to her social media and say, hey guys, I've got this great tips for, character development. Come check it out on my website. You want people to come back to your website, right? Bring everybody back to your website. All right, so let's go back to, all right, the third most important thing is inviting people back to your website. That's your role. And again, if you don't have new content, what are you saying to people, right? Why are you inviting people to your website if you haven't gone to your website, if you're not updating it? So let's think about what we want to do. So here's what I really want authors to think about is you want all of your marketing to come back to your website. That is really important. There are authors I know who do, ads, right? That send people to Amazon, right? They do Facebook ads that send people directly to Amazon. If it's working for you, fantastic. But if it's not working for you, I want you to think about why it may not be working for you. It's because you're sending people to a page that has an ad for a similar book right on top, and then ad for similar books right underneath. And you're setting them to a place where they go, oh, I need to get those socks. I need diapers for my kids. My dog food is empty. Like, you're literally sending people, spending your money, sending them to a page that has your competition and your distraction all in one place. So it is much better to send people to your website, because that's the place that they can actually make the buying decision, right? They're going to have unique content. You're going to tell them about your characters in a way that they can't find anywhere else. They're going to be links to multiple booksellers. They can, once they've decided they want the book, they can go to a bookseller and just buy that book, instead of sending them an advertising point where they're not quite sure they want your book. They're going to that page to learn about you, but you're sending them to a page where there's literally competition from best-selling authors. So think about that. Think about all roads leading back to your website. Anything you do in marketing should come back to your website where you can make the sale. So let's look at the different ways that you can send people to your website. One is, of course, social media. Wherever you are, in whatever platform you are participating, make sure that in your bio, there's a link back to your website. I'm amazed that authors don't do that. It is really important for you to make sure that there's a link in your bio to your website. Also, you want to, as you update your website and as you write a new blog or you write new tips or you post a short story or something like that, post that on your social media so people can come back to your website. And now Instagram obviously doesn't let you link directly to your website. So you can say link in bio and the bio link should be your website. But Twitter, Facebook certainly allows you to link directly back to your website. And if you ever look at your analytics, you will see that once you start sending people back to your website, the traffic on your website will increase because you're actively sending people to your website because there's new content on your website. And when you increase the traffic on your website, you increase the chances of selling your books. So it's really important that you think of social media. Yes, you're building relationships and hopefully you're following the right people and you're engaging with people. All that is important. But really the reason you're doing it is to bring people back to your website. It increases your referral traffic to your website by sometimes 50%. So if you're not doing it, if you're not bringing people to your website, you're really not using your social media to the best of your ability. So that's one of the reasons. The second thing you want to do is send people back to your website every time you do an email newsletter. So if you're sending a newsletter or you're sending an email out to your readers, to your followers, make sure that they are linking back to your website. In fact, there was a time that, and I'm sure you remember, we were all trying to be like good citizens and having tons of resources, right? So you send out a newsletter with like resource galore. What we've noticed now is that when you add links to other things, so let's say an Amazon link, there's a social media link, there is something else like a Facebook link, people go to those places and they never come back. So it's actually called in marketing these days, not having leaks in your website and your mailing lists, right? You don't want to give people lots of options to leave your website and leave your newsletter. So your newsletter should also have links coming back to your website. So you can see how you're kind of creating a content hub, and then you have reasons to invite people to it, right? Now, if you never update your website, none of this really helps because people are going to say, well, why am I coming to your website? What's new? So you want to do that. Anytime you're on events like this one, you want to make sure that you give people, links back to your website. As you can see on every slide of mine, there's my Twitter handle and my website. So just in case you guys didn't know how to get in touch with me, you would know. In fact, I'm going to put my, hopefully you'll join my mailing list as well. So I'm going to put my link in my chat. You can join my mailing list. I would love that. So wherever you are, basically doing an event, or you're doing a library event, or you're doing it with a group of people, make sure that you're telling people to come back to your website. So that's another area. Ads I talked about already. I really believe that if some ads are working for you and you're like, this has been the best thing ever, I'm selling thousands of books a week, keep doing it. In fact, tell us all, because we will all want to know. But most of the time, if you're running ads, my suggestion would be that your goal should be to bring people back to your website so you can get them on the mailing list. So when you have a new book, you can announce the new book to them. That's the most beneficial, but also long-term benefit, right? The ads that you're doing on going to a bookseller are short-term. It's just for that ad, just for that book. But if you can bring people back to your website where they can sign up for your mailing list, get to know you, get involved with you, sign up, start following you on social media, those ads are just much more long-term benefit. And you can do ads on like, here are 10 tips of character development. Lynn, I am like using your tips in such a big way throughout my presentation. But also you can have, come to my website and learn more, learn the backstory of one of my characters, or learn how I did XYZ, or how I did research on this particular topic. So there's a reason to bring people back to your website if you have content. And then I do publicity. Publicity is hard work. There are lots of books to compete with. So every time you do publicity, you want to make sure that you're telling people to come back to your website. If you've done a blog post for someone, at the end of it in your bio should be a link to your website. And anything that you are doing, whether it's your email list or your email, just sending out emails, or you have a group of friends who are getting together and you're going to do a panel together, in any of those capacities, I want you to constantly be thinking, where am I sending these people? To my best of my, what will benefit me most. So make sure that the website is there for that reason. And it sounds crazy, but so few people actually think about all of these things. I see authors on podcasts, and in their bio, there's no link. There's no link back to their website. It's a wasted opportunity. So anytime your name appears, your website should appear, right? And in long term, the reason that is so important is because another criteria by which Google will send you traffic is how many people are linking to you. So the more backlinks you have, the more links you have from other people, whether it's a podcast or a social media post, or as you guys do in your own mailing list and your own website, adding a link to your members is such a great service. It really is a valuable service, because the more links you have out there to you, the better off you're going to be. So the ideal scenario would be you've posted something, it's really good content, you promoted it on social media and people shared it. Now there's even more links out there. So the more links you have to your website, that should be your goal long-term. You definitely want to keep adding links to your website. All right, so I think I've covered a lot, and I do want to give a presentation, a demo of PubSite, which is a platform for building website as well. But what I want to do is, so that's me, that's my website. I'm going to open it up to your questions before I do the demo, and I'm going to close the slides and happily answer any of your questions about this topic, and then I can give you a little demo. So I'm going to
Monica just put one in the chat. So if Monica wants to ask her own question, that'd be fabulous.
That would be fabulous.
Here I am.
Hi.
Hi, Fauzia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is great. Great presentation.
Monica, can I just stop you for 1 second? First
yes.
of all, I want to thank you and Michelle and Howard, all of you, for saying my name perfectly. I so appreciate that. So just want to say, thank you, because I know that that's an effort on everybody's part, and I appreciate that. So, all right, Monica, what can I do for you?
I can't decide whether to do a newsletter, and if I would do it on Substack, or to do a blog, or to do both. What's your view on that?
Yes, I think Substack is amazing. It's a great platform, and it's really cool. For those of you who don't know what Substack is, it's basically a blogging / newsletter format. So you can have the content of your newsletter up on the site, and then it also goes out to people who are signed up for it. So it's really a great platform. It also, at some point, if you can charge people for it, it has monetization built into it. So let's say you get to 10,000 people on your mailing list, you can then say, okay, I'm going to start charging for being on the newsletter. So it's a really good thing. It's a great platform for sure. I have no problems with it. Monica, the thing you want to think about is that Substack is providing this content to people because every time you post something, they get more traffic to their website, right? They get more traffic to Substack. I would recommend to you that you post your original content on your website first. And then if you want to post it on Substack and build your mailing list that way, that's okay. They're not asking for unique content. They're not asking for exclusive content. But so I do think that putting your exclusive content on your own website will get you the most SEO benefit. So Google only indexes something once. So if you post it on Substack, it's going to index that content for Substack. And so if you post it on your website next, it's blind to it, right? It's been indexed already, it won't even see it. So you want to make sure that it is indexed. All of the content you write should give you the biggest benefit, right? So you should put it on your website, get the indexing from Google on your website, and then you can post it on another website. Does that help?
That's great. I did not know that about Google. That's really interesting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We had a related question in the chat from iPhone,
okay.
Who is driving and can't ask it herself. And she asked, what are some of the names of email marketing companies that you particularly like or would recommend?
The platforms is, we use MailChimp, and honestly, just because we started using it a long time ago and we're still using it, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's gotten very complicated. So those of you who are starting out with a newsletter program right now might find it a little bit overwhelming. But the programs that are very popular are MailChimp. MailerLite is an easier to use program. So that's something that you can look at if you're new to it. There's Constant Contact. All of them have some level of a free program, and then there's a paid option also. Those are the ones that I would recommend. Sometimes Squarespace and Wix have mailing list software built into their platform. I don't know the answer to this, but my only concern would be how easy is it to export that in case you change platforms, because you want to be as flexible with your data as possible. So for example, make sure that your domain name is in your name, that you have the username and password for your domain name. If your domain was registered by a webmaster or something like that, this is the time to make that change. Get it in your hands. You should have the login for your domain name. You should always be able to have your email list exported to any platform you want. So that kind of data you want to have full access to.
Okay, Judith also has a question. Go ahead, Judith.
Where am I? Here I am. Okay, I was just looking at it. Okay, so this is my question. I don't have a website and I'm just working on my first book. And something I've always been curious about is on the website, the unique content to post. For instance, if I wanted to highlight something that's part of my story, part of the book, is it a good idea to just titillate, to give an allusion to that, to give a some kind of a reference to that, or is it okay to actually use the exact content in your book, or even an image? See, I don't know, maybe that's too deep, too much to ask, but I'm just starting out on even the idea of the getting ready to think about the website. Yeah.
So Judith, I think it's actually a really good question. A lot of people ask me if, they don't want to post things about their book because somebody might steal their idea or somebody might take that content and all of that kind of stuff. So I do understand that. What I would say is that I think we're all too busy for just hints of content. You need to post things that are fully formed, fully digestible, and let people get the full flavor of how you write and what you're all about. Like, what's your worldview? And I think that if you do that, that would be really good. Also remember that if you're writing a novel, and we can't put a backstory for every character, right? But it might be that you in your head have a backstory for a character. You can put that backstory on your website. So that way, and you can say, I'm working on a novel. This is a character that has a small part in my novel, but I just love this character, and here's her backstory, or here's his backstory, or something like that. And then suddenly I'm already interested because I'm interested in that character. And how are you going to sort of incorporate that into your novel? The idea about having a website even before you have a book is that you want to build that relationship with your readers so they anticipate your book. They're excited about your book, because the day you publish is not the day you want to start building your readers. You actually want to try to build that relationship with people beforehand. And here's one of the things that's really important for all of you to think about. Strangers don't pre-order our books. Right? Pre-orders are important to everybody. Everybody wants to launch their books with pre-orders. It's not strangers that are going to pre-order your book. You already know the first tier of your readers. And you want to start building from that core audience out, right? So the word of mouth about your books are really, really important. We all know that. Here's the thing that a lot of authors don't realize. Word of mouth does not start with strangers. It starts with people you already know. They're the ones who are going to say, my sister just wrote a book. My neighbor's been working on this book for 10 years. My friend in my writing group has been doing this book. I'm so thrilled for her. Those are the people who are going to start that circle of word of mouth. It is not some out there complete strangers who are going to happen to find your book and start talking about it.
Right.
So the important thing for you is to think about, how do I keep that inner circle entertained? What can I do to build a relationship with them so they're excited about my book? So when you're thinking about content, think about that. What would your writing group want to read? What would your family want to read? What does your friends want to read? And write from that, and then grow after that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Judith.
It was great, especially you sort of built on what Lynn spoke about, and now thinking about the characters.
Yes, I honestly thought when Lynn was talking, I was like, That's what you should do on your website, all of it, one at a time. Totally, I agree with you, Judith. Thank you. And I think Sabia has a question.
Yes, thank you, Fauzia, for that presentation. I do have a website, and thanks to you, your tips many years ago, I get a lot of traffic on the blog on my website.
Yay.
But I would also like to get traffic on my event page, because I list over there, come join me for a book talk virtually in all these places. I don't get any traffic there. I do get traffic on my homepage, but I don't know how to keep my homepage fresh and updated, because I feel that whatever I had to say about this new book that just came out is the best way of saying it, and it doesn't need any change. But I know that it should be updated. So two-part question: refreshing the homepage and also getting traction on my event page.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I want to tell you all that Sabia and I met probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was giving a presentation on my book, which is this book, Online Marketing for Busy Authors. And she drove, I think from Westchester, I was in New Jersey. She drove all the way to come to my presentation. And we have stayed connected ever since. And I'm so proud of all of your books and all of the marketing you do. You've done a great job. So thank you for being here. And
I had a good teacher.
being with me throughout. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, Sabia and I developed an online relationship. After she came to one of my events, she signed up for my mailing list. So she's been in touch with me. I've signed up for hers. So I stay in touch with her. We see each other on social media. This is the kind of thing you want to develop. So as far as your two good questions, the homepage, Sabia, I think if you can post rotating your good reviews, right? So it doesn't have to be content that hasn't been posted before, but it could be that it's new content, or you post a little bit longer of a review. You can post that on your website. You can also post on your website a new event that you're doing. So if you're speaking at a function and you want to highlight it, maybe post that on your homepage. So that way people can actually come and see that there's something new. You want to keep the information about your book 100%, right? That's an important thing. But is there a way that you can tweak it, add some reviews, excuse me, add some reviews, add some, reader review, talk about the latest Amazon link review that you've gotten, or say things that people in this meeting have said, which is that I'm averaging 4.7 on Amazon. Can you imagine, everyone, just aside, that these days, that's what we are talking about? Not that my book was in the New York Times, or not that my book was reviewed here, or Kirkus gave it a great review, or PW gave it a good. We're talking about how many stars we got on Amazon. It's remarkable to me how important it is. So something like that, Sabia, you can just kind of talk about, because you do so many different things. You can even thank the people if you're doing a presentation, thank the people in the presentation, add a link to their page, something like that. Keep that page, almost think about it like you do with your social media. You're so active on social media. It's a good way to also think about, what can I post from here on my social media? So that's the homepage. So nothing revolutionary. You don't have to change it every 2 weeks. You don't have to redesign it all the time. But I think that's a good way to do it. And then as far as getting traffic to your events page, I think the best thing you can do is to make sure that you have SEO set up on that page. So a lot of authors don't do SEO per page. And so sometimes you don't get any traffic, because if what you're posting on that page is just images, Google doesn't read images. So you want to make sure that the information on there is text-based, so Google can pick up on it. So that's an important thing. The more information you add about the event, the better off you'll be, because Google will index that as new content. And then the third thing is, you just want to drive people to it. So it's the same thing as I said in everything else. If you want more traffic to that particular page, add unique content. Maybe you can add photos in there if you feel like it, or some unique thing that people are willing to come to see it. And then make sure that you're pointing people to it and you're driving traffic to that particular page. The reason you're getting traffic on your blog is because you've got text that gets indexed by Google every time you post a new blog, right? So that page is always going to be great. And for the rest of you, if you're not blogging, you're literally losing all of that traffic. If Sabia wasn't blogging on her website, all of that traffic that comes directly to her website would just not be there. So she's blogging on her website. She's posting about it on social media. People click on it, they come to her website, and then they go, oh, I didn't know she wrote this 2 other books. I didn't know she was writing another book. I only knew about this book. Let me check out her other book, right? Or they get interested in something she wrote in her blog, and then they're following her on social media because, as Lynn said, she explained her passion and her worldview. And now people are saying, you know, I want peace in the world and I'm going to follow this author. So those are the kinds of things that when you put them all together, they start to connect. Sabia, did that help?
Very much so. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for coming. I so appreciate it.
Kathleen Osborne has a question.
Okay, last question, and then I'll do the demo.
Okay. Yeah, are video clips as good as a written item?
Excellent question, Kathleen. So here's the thing, the rage right now in marketing and publicity is podcasts, right? Everybody's on podcasts, everybody wants to do podcasts, people are starting podcasts. So the video, and they're all doing it on video, on Zoom basically. So the benefit of having that video clip is that you can turn it into 3 types of content. You can have it as video content, upload it as on YouTube, put an embed code on your website so you have the video content. So video is just popular because people, it's easier, right? We're all getting lazier, I think, in some ways, and you can watch a video quickly. But what you should also do with that video content is that strip out the video, take the audio, post that on whether it's SoundCloud or whether it is on a podcasting, depending on what kind of video it is. And then the third thing, Kathleen, I think you should do is turn that content into text. Do it as a transcript and then turn that into transcript into text, because there are benefits to both video and text. The video is because the readers like it, right? We all know video is all the rage. TikTok people, I said this last year, it's going to be huge. It is on its way to being superb. It's huge. So videos are always, I think they're just going to become more and more and more important, but Google doesn't index video. So if you put a video on your website, you're not getting the SEO benefits. So if you also post the transcript underneath, then you get both benefits. You get the video benefit and you get the transcript benefit. And there are programs now that are not very expensive where you can upload your audio file and get the transcript. Okay. And actually, I'm going to put one that I have used in the past. It's called temi.com, I think it is. And you can upload a file and it'll convert it into text. Sometimes if it's an hour-long file, it can be like $14 or something, which I think is a little too much. But if you have a short one, you can certainly do it for $2 or $3, and then you have content for your website.
Yeah, I try and keep it 3 to 5 minutes. And what it is excerpts from my books or stories.
Excellent. Excellent, Kathleen. I would do both then. I would definitely do the video because people like watching video. And then since you've done the work already, turn that into a transcript and milk the content. Milk it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, Fauzia, we do have several more questions. Do you want to hold those till after your next part of the presentation?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'll fly by PubSite so you guys can just see it. If you have questions about PubSite, you can always reach out to me later. I do more presentations and more detailed one, but I can give you a quick run through of PubSite, and maybe some of those questions can be answered through PubSite as well. So PubSite, as I said, is a platform that we developed. I'm going to put the link in chat. It's a platform that we developed. So my husband and I are business partners, and we've been doing websites on WordPress since '95. In fact, my company was the first company to ever do a website. I probably said that before in case you guys remember. It was for Sue Grafton. So we did the website for Sue Grafton. We still maintain it even though she has passed. But what we realized is that WordPress is not really author friendly. And a lot of the platforms like Wix and Squarespace are not really scalable for authors. So nowadays you can do website anywhere. Honestly speaking, I was on Vistaprint the other day trying to print postcards, and they have a website platform. And MailChimp has a website platform. And GoDaddy has one. Google has one. Everyone has a website platform. So I think that they're all creating these generic programs that are not really specific to anyone. What we've done with PubSite is that we've built it for one audience only, and that's for authors. That's it. So everything we've done on PubSite is for authors, and everything we've learned in the last 25 years is baked into the platform. So I just want to give you a quick rundown of it so you can see what it looks like, what's the capabilities, and then I'll answer more questions. Does that make sense? Everybody okay with that? Okay, good. Actually, let's look at first a website that is done on PubSite by one of our own. So this is Michelle's website. She did it on PubSite. I'm so thrilled to have her on our platform. And you can see that she doesn't even have a book yet, but she has the website already set up. My next suggestion to her would be to start a blog and a mailing list. So that's her information. Here's some more information about her. She's got links to booksellers. This is her upcoming book. Whenever she does appearances, there's an appearance tab. I posted this one so she can see it. And then she has a contact page. So it's a very simple website, but very easy to navigate, and it will scale with her. So as she gets more information, she can add that. But let me show you another website that is a little bit more robust. So this is a website we did on PubSite. Can you guys see it? It's Jean Ann Rose is our, is that the best name ever? Jean Ann Rose, right? You'd think I made that up. It's actually a publicist in book publishing. I probably owe her some money for using her name. Anyway, this is a website that we created for her. And as you can see, it has her author photo, and I mean, this is all made up, but links to a lot of different platforms, links to 2 of her books, lots of buying options here. You can see that. If you go up to her website, there's a about her page, and you can see that there's, lots of information. You can add a video introduction to yourself. Here are all of her books. So each of her books is listed here. You can click on it to get more information on each one. There are events. One of the things that I'm really proud of with PubSite is that for events, we created a module where once this event is over, it automatically drops down to recent. So your website is always up to date. You don't have to go in and manually do it, which I had to do when I was on WordPress. There's a blog on here, so you can send people to the website. We also have a photo gallery that is built in. This is actually my little dog. Her name is Carly, the love of my life. Don't tell my kids or my husband. And then, so you can have a photo gallery of you speaking at events or, anything like that. And then of course, the contact page. And here's a link to signing up for a mailing list. So it's a straightforward website. And then I'll just show you what it looks like on the back end. So all I need to do to get to the website is admin. And then there's a login information. I will pick the login. And here's what it looks like in the back end, right? I just want to show you how easy it is to create a website and update a website. And for PubSite, what we've done is every author gets 14 days free trial. So you can just come and experiment. There's no email. We don't email you. Nothing happens. You can just come in and experiment and see if you like it. And it's free to set up. So there's no downside to it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you like it, then you set it up for free and didn't have to pay anybody thousands of dollars for a website. So here's how it goes. We've set it up so it's actually like a workflow. So all you have to do is go from tab to tab to tab. And as you fill in the blanks, basically these forms, your website gets built. So here's the name of your website. This is what would show up on top. Then you can go to, and again, it's, there's a lot of options and we have a help site and all of that, but I'll give you sort of the quick overview. Then you go to the next tab, which is the design tab. And in the design tab, there are lots of designs that are already pre-designed, excuse me, and you can just pick any design that you like. So you can switch designs at any point, change colors at any point. There's a lot of different ways that you can use the websites, and all of them are configured for books. So you don't ever have to think about, oh, I do want this website, but how do I do it? What would I do it? How would I do that? You can also add the big graphics. We have lots of clients that have done that, where they have the big photo and things like that, but you don't have to. So for example, right now we've been using this website design. If I decide that I want to use, which one should we choose? Let's choose this one. This is kind of a different one. So if I wanted to change the design to this, all I have to do is say, use this theme. And then when you can see the site, do you remember what it looked like before? And now it looks like this, right? And I did nothing else except one checkbox. The font got changed, the colors got changed, everything got changed, and I didn't have to worry about doing any of it, right? So it makes it very easy to change designs. I'm going to go back to this one, just cause, why not? And again, if you see what it looks like now, this is how it is. And then if I refresh it, now it looks like this. So you can actually change the site almost daily if you feel like it. Some of our clients, some of our members have changed it for the holidays. I thought that was a really cute idea. Who can do that, right? But you're absolutely welcome to customize your website and change it. So if you did need to change it or change the colors, for example, you don't like the orange on top, you want it to be turquoise, all you have to do is to customize and you can change the colors. I won't get into that, but it's very easy to change. The other thing that I think is really easy to change is what your homepage looks like, which I love the fact that I can do this. So the current layout, again, it's with checkboxes, no programming, no trying to figure it out. It automatically shifts. So currently there's an author bio on top, and then there were 2 books listed, right? But if this author has multiple books, she has 3. I don't know if the carousel really looks great with 3, but we can try it. You can do this. Then there's an author bio. There's also an option to just switch it so the book is on top. Let's try this one. If I just hit a checkbox, that's all I'm doing. I go back to this page and I hit refresh. You'll see that now the book 1 is on top and the author photo is down here. And now I can add reviews if I want. So it's so simple to add and change your website. And as Sabia was asking, what can you do on a regular basis? Heck, change the design, change the layout, do whatever you want, because you don't need to go to a webmaster and say, redesign my website. Let's try the carousel. I don't know how it'll look, but let's just try it. So if I have multiple books, I want to try the carousel, see how it looks. If you go here and I refresh it, now, okay, it doesn't look too bad. It usually looks better with 4 books, I think. But if you have 3 and you want to do a carousel and the books' jackets look nice together, here's the carousel. They all go directly to the book page. So you click on it, it goes to the book page, right? These are things that honestly no other platform needs to do, right? No other platform needs to do this. Only authors need this particular functionality. So we've created things that only authors need. Then if you go to the next tab, you're adding yourself as an author. It's simple as add author, and you're just filling out the blanks, right? You're just entering, this looks like Word. So if you know how to use Word, you know how to use PubSite. And go back to, where is it? And I'll just show you what it when you fully add it in, what it looks like. So once you add a feature as an author, you can click on it, change it here. Here's the name. This is a short bio that appears on the homepage. And then I always recommend that authors have a long bio that can appear inside your whole story, right? What do you do? What do you work on? And then social media links are as simple as adding a link to social media. This is probably true for most platforms, but what we've done is added the Amazon page for your, if you're an author, you should have your Amazon author page, your Goodreads page, your BookBub page. All of those are not obviously available in other platforms. Nobody cares about those links. We do. If you want to add an audio video, all you need to do is put the embed code in here and it automatically shows up on that page. And then here's the appearance module that I really love because I speak at a lot of conferences and a lot of presentations. All you have to do is add it, put all of that information in it, and then add the appearance, and it'll automatically add in where it's supposed to by date, right? So if it's upcoming, it'll be on top. If it's already passed, it'll be on the bottom. It's so simple to use. And then if you want to do a blog post, again, blogging is it's always built in. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. So if you do want to do a blog, you just have to go into edit blog, and it looks pretty much like any other blogging platform. The only benefit here that I love is that you can actually do SEO, search engine optimization, right here. It's built in. So you don't have to take an extra step. You don't have to hire anybody for it. You can do it yourself. Again, a short bio, and then the long blog post. Here's the video we posted on it. So you can do that. And then let's go to the next tab. So basically, right, we're just going through the different tabs, design, author, and then when you have books and actually products, because some of our authors, as I said to you, are selling cards, are selling other books, they're selling other products, things that are book adjacent. So those are things in here. We may actually add courses, so you can announce your courses here as well. So there'll be more things that help you monetize your website. And it's, again, adding a book is very easy. You just literally add a new product. And this too is set up like a workflow. So if you just go through the tabs and fill in the blanks, you'll have it. And one of the things I want to show you is the purchase links. If you did, we literally have every purchase option for internationally. So I think we had some international people here. If you have a website that we did not link to, please let us know. We will happily do it. But there's links to booksellers in the UK, in New Zealand, and Australia, as well as all of ours. And then you have these generic buttons, which is for if your publisher is selling your book, or you're selling it yourself, or you just want a generic buy button for a bookseller that you really like. So these are all of these. There's Audible in here. There's Powell's is just, a really great bookstore in Portland. iTunes, iBooks, Books A Million. I think Target is in here too, right? We have, Target, Walmart. So wherever your books are sold, you can add a link. And again, you remember you're the curator, so you don't want to add a link just because you can. Pick the ones that you really feel. And you don't have to add an Amazon link, but obviously you can. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. That's as easy as possible, right? You just go in, add the book details, just enter it, text it, put the description. There's a short description that shows up on the homepage. There's a long one that you click on. Images can be the book jacket, or you can actually have interior shots if you feel like you have something you want to do there. Again, SEO is built into every page. So you can put in the page title, you can put in the keywords, you can put in the description right here by yourself. You don't need any help from anybody. And again, purchase links, you can add an audio if you like. I won't go into other editions, but it's also very robust. We have, believe it or not, the Reader's Digest Trade Publishing Company uses PubSite. Even though it was built for authors, they found it to be the most user-friendly and easy to manage website for their publishing business. And their receptionist updates their website. So, it is very robust and you can definitely do it. And then here's one of my favorite parts. When my website was on WordPress, changing the menu was such a hassle. Like anytime I was like, hey guys, I'm thinking of adding like a photo gallery on my website, it literally meant redesigning and reprogramming the menu bar, right? But on PubSite, I can literally decide. So right now, this is the current menu. Home, about the author, books, events, blog, photos, and contact. If I decide I really want to make the photos really on top as a big priority, I can just drag it, make it that, save changes, and I want you to see what it does. So right now, this is the menu. right? And the photos are over here. And because I made the change, the photo is now here. Like, it's that easy to change your menu. That is literally not available anywhere else. And then maybe I think, you know what, the photos are outdated. I don't want them on my website just now. I'm going to just move them off the site. These are all potential pages. I'm going to save it. And then you can see that the photos are here, but because I made the change, it's now not on my menu. So this is why PubSite allows you to make changes so easily, right? You can change your mind. You can add things today. You can take them off. It just gives you a lot of flexibility. So that's the menu buy. The other thing that is really easy to use and very functional is that if you'll see inside, right now there is no sidebar, right? And this is definitely the modern look. The no sidebar look is the modern look. I totally get that. But I always think about the sidebar as a minivan. You know, it may not be the cool thing, but it's so functional, right? If you have kids and you don't have a minivan, life is harder. So in PubSite, you can actually decide you want the menu, you want the sidebar by going in, making some global changes and saying, I don't want to hide the sidebar. I want to show the sidebar. One checkbox, right? Save the setting. And now if you go here and I do, so you can see in here, there's no sidebar. But if I do this, now there is a sidebar. And as I said, sidebar is a minivan. And you can see that it gives you lots of options. It gives you, you know, social media links. It gives you the recent blog post. It gives you, your book is on every page. Your mailing list sign up is on every page. So it just helps you to keep people, no matter what page they're on, they can always see all of this navigation, right? Can see all of this information. I go back and forth on my website. Sometimes I have a sidebar, sometimes I don't, but it's that easy to have one. You can change your mind anytime. And then when you go to the sidebar, like right here, it says sidebar menu. Now here are all of the sidebar features that you can add or remove. So maybe I don't want to do share my site. I can move that off. Oops. There we go. And I can save it. And now that's gone. I can say I want to add blog categories on my website. I can put that in here. I can change it. So it's just drag and drop depending on what you're interested in featuring on your sidebar. And again, you can also just say, I don't feel like it today. Today, I don't want a sidebar. So you can go back to the global setting and with one checkbox, change the design, save settings, and now you're back to, this is the sidebar. If you refresh, no sidebar. That's simple. So it just makes things a lot easier as an author because everything that an author needs is built in. We do have e-commerce. I'm not going to go over that right now, but there is e-commerce built in, which means that if you want to sell signed copies out of your garage, you actually can do it. I just won't show you how all that goes on. And as I said, there's a lot of robust features, but it's also very simple. You know, it takes a couple of hours and you have a website if you want it. So I'm going to stop sharing and then answer any questions you have. Hopefully I answered those. So Michelle, did that help? Can I get back to questions? And I'm happy to answer PubSite questions as well.
Absolutely, that was fabulous. Thank you so much, Fauzia. There are several questions in the chat. I'm going to turn that monitoring over to Lynette right now. Okay. Hopefully she's been following along because I unfortunately have to go. That's great right. Seeing everybody, and Lynette will handle the Q&A from here on out.
Thank you, Michelle, for all your help. I really appreciate it. Bye.
Hey.
Bye, Lynette.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Michelle. And I think I scrolled too far, so give me just a second. Daniel was asking if you had some tips for picking a domain name.
I so do. I absolutely do. So one thing I just saw one chat question that I came up while we were doing the transition, how much is PubSite? I will tell you it is free to set up, which means everyone gets 14 days free trial. And then it's $19.99 a month. But for this audience right now, I'm actually posting a link that gives you the platform for $14.99 for the first year. So that link is over there, but really, I think it's super affordable because you can build the site yourself. If you need help, we have a help site, we have videos, we can give you email support. And then it's I'm not good with math, but like $240 or something a year. That's it. That's your full expense for a website that can be changed hourly. So it's definitely worth the investment. Okay, domain names. I absolutely think that your domain name needs to be in your name. Do not get a domain name for every book. Don't get a domain name for your series. Make sure that your website is under your name, because your branding, your platform building is all going to be under one umbrella, and that's your name. I'm not talking about pseudonyms right now, but we can talk about that if someone has a question, but keep everything under your name. If you can't find your name, let's say your name is John Smith, and there's a few other John Smiths out there, you can do John Smith writer or author John Smith. Try to get it that way, and try to get the .com domain name. That's obviously what people use most, but if you can't, then you can get a .net. But I do think that it should be under your name. And pick a good platform, please, for getting a domain name. GoDaddy is one of our favorites just because it's easy to use and they actually have phone support for people. Network Solutions is another one that's good. I think Google does domain names too. But if you're going by a fly-by-night domain name host, be careful. It's really hard sometimes to transfer domain names. It's hard to get into them. They don't email you when it's about to expire. My two favorites are GoDaddy and Network Solutions. You don't need to buy all of they keep trying to upsell you. You don't need any of that. Just buy your domain name for 3 years. Like that's the base of it, and that's all you need. And make sure you have username and password for it, and that you can update it yourself. This is kind of like giving your house key to someone else, right? You want your house key in your hand. So make sure that you get it yourself.
Great. Monica wanted to know if you have a portfolio page for authors' published articles.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Portfolio page for what?
For published articles. So is Monica still on? Maybe you can explain.
Sorry, I don't understand what that means. Yeah, Monica's there. Monica, you can unmute yourself and ask yourself.
I'm a book author and I'm a freelance writer. So I have a portfolio page of all my recent articles.
Great. Yeah, you absolutely should do that. And are you asking if you should do that on your website, or are you asking if you can do that on PubSite?
On PubSite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. If you have it as images, you can do a photo gallery of them, because some people do images of their articles. If you're actually posting links, then you can actually post them on your blog post and have links there. If you want a separate page, you can add as many pages to your website as you want. So you can actually have a writing portfolio page, and you can organize that in any way you want. You absolutely can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. We have a couple people want to know if they can transfer their existing website to PubSite.
Yes, absolutely. So my website was on WordPress. I kid you not. I literally hated it. And I have a staff. Like I had people doing it for me, and I hated it because I wanted more control. And I had 10 years of blogs on WordPress. So moving it seemed like I'm never going to escape this hell. But on PubSite, I was able to export all my blogs from WordPress, import them in on PubSite. So that was really easy. And then depending on the content, as I said, if it's old content, you want to ditch it. But otherwise, you can literally cut and paste and transfer over. It's not a big deal at all. And we're here to help you. We have a service, a setup service. So if you do not want to set up the site yourself, or don't want to do it, we're happy to do it. We're probably going to raise our rates on May 1st, I think, but right now it's $4.99. You can check that out. I have a page on the site for our setup service. And our setup service is, we just set the site up for you. So absolutely, you can do that.
Thank you. Dina wants to know if you have your own server.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We do. Hold on one second. I'm just going to put up setup. I am, as I said, not a great multitasker.
Okay.
So that's the setup service. Oh, yeah. We have absolutely our own servers. They're very fast. They're very secure. Nothing else is on our server but PubSite. So it's completely dedicated to PubSite for two reasons. Security. We didn't want people to have access to our server. So that's one of the reasons that we have a dedicated server just to PubSite. Second, speed. The more things that are on the server, the slower the server can be. So you've seen that with other platforms. Some of the websites just hang. They don't load properly or they don't load quickly. That's not the case with PubSite. So both of those reasons are, and every website has an SSL certificate, which is the security certificate. Some people charge for it. We don't charge for it. It's built into the platform. So there's lots of good things in our, John, and this is our company. It's not some black hole, big corporation, it's us. And for us, our members are really important because they know us directly and they reach out to us and ask us for things. So we want to make sure that you are all protected and that we've done everything we can. It's not about making money. I mean, that's nice too. It's about making sure that the platform is doing what it needs to do for all of our members. So yeah, nothing to worry about for the servers.
Okay, great, thank you. Tessa said that there is no save function on the blog page, and she spent some time writing an article and then lost it all when she hit insert blog. So she's hoping that you have a way to write a draft and publish later.
I think there is. With websites, if you're working, I would recommend for anyone, no matter what platform you're using, even if it's on Facebook, don't start writing on the platform itself. Definitely do a cut and paste because you never know. There's a small glitch, the internet cuts out for a second and you lose your material, your work. I have the save function. You don't publish it, but if you're posting something on it, but I just don't, I do it all the time. So I don't really know what happened there. But my recommendation to all of you is never write directly onto the web. Always write on your computer and cut and paste the content. So you always have a copy of it on your desktop. And that's true for social media posts, for mailing list, for any platform at all. You absolutely should not. That's just good digital hygiene. You don't want to do it. But I'm so sorry that happened to you. I don't know why it happened. I have 3 blog posts on my site that I'm still working on that I haven't published. So, unless I publish them, they're saved on the platform. So I don't know what happened there.
Great. Carol is concerned if she moves from WordPress over to PubSite, will she keep her followers?
So it depends. Sometimes it's, we don't have a follow button on the blog post. So if you have hundreds of followers, then I think you and I probably should talk about that. Sometimes authors have really 4 or 5 people on it. There's a few functionality decisions that we made for security. So following blogs as well as RSS feed, we do have an RSS feed, but comments on blogs, we did turn those off just because the security risk was not worth it. But I would need to look at that exact situation to see how many followers you have and what we can do. But we do not have maybe we do now. We've been working on it. Whoever asked that question, just email me directly and I'll get you in touch with our tech team.
Great. There is a question from, and I'm sorry if I mess up your name, Cynthia. She's a researcher and a first-time author for middle grade fiction. Would you suggest that she still goes with her name for her domain name?
So
I think, yeah, because she's got the 2 different.
My 2 personalities.
Yeah, your 2 personalities, yeah.
So tell me a little bit, first of all, tell me how to pronounce your name.
Cynthia. So I'm based in San Diego. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Fauzia, for the invitation.
Yeah.
So a little bit, and I will love everyone to join us to give an advice. I am a human rights advocate. I work in Africa. I am the chair of family policy and human rights for the American Family Association. And I am trying to write fiction to reach my audience and talk about critical peace education, multiculturalism, and peace building. So I am having that kind of difficulty. Of course, I need to at least get back the money that I have been putting in this book so far. English is not my first language, as you can see, but I'm having a passion and I want to do it the right way. So I am having this difficult situation because more than selling the book, this is more of an advocacy tool. My book is a product to reach an audience. So I'm having this hard situation of being under my name. I am already having a domain that is called risingadvocates.com. I found it that is really nice, like Rising Girls. Have you heard about it? Girl Rising, sorry.
Girls Rising,
so
yes.
There is using narrative storytelling to reach an audience. So what will you say about it? Okay. Can I have two? Can I have like a pub site for my name and a web for Rising Advocates, for instance?
Yeah, so let me explain why I say it should be under your name. So the reason, Cynthia, it should be in your name is because I'm thinking long-term, right? I've seen authors for decades now. And what happens is the way you're thinking right now may evolve. And so your project might evolve. You might decide tomorrow to write a collection of short stories from the people you're working with, and you want all their stories in a collection of short stories. Your book might get turned into a movie and they may change the name. So what doesn't change over time is your name. And so everything, if you build everything under your name, then you're not trying to divide traffic into some people go here, some people go there. And building traffic to a website is so hard that trying to do it twice, oh my God, that's just craziness. So try to have it all under one name. You can obviously have the domain name that works for you, but have it come to the same place. So you can have multiple domain names coming to one website, basically because if you want to not have to spell your name, or you're on a podcast and you're just telling people to come to your website, you can use a different name because it's easier instead of saying, this is how you spell my whole name. But anytime that people link, it should link to your name. You're building your platform. I think that your work aligns directly with your book. Mm-hmm. So it's not, there are times where there are people who are kindergarten teachers and they're writing exotica, right? That's a whole other problem. And there I have to be like, no, separate things out. But your work and your book is actually aligned, right?
Yeah, so and you say something on your presentation about curating the content of the web, right? That is important. And I can do that. Actually, I am the opposite. I am from the curation coming to the fiction, kind of a weird combination. But I want to play the double roles. I think that is what is make it interesting in terms of who will be coming to my webpage or what I have to offer.
Absolutely. So you have people who are in the advocacy space who might come to you for resources and say, oh, wow, she also wrote a novel. That's so cool. And then people who are like interested in the novel and come and see your advocacy work and be impressed and feel even more inclined to read your book. So I think separating it out, actually you weaken your position. By keeping it all under one roof, you actually strengthen your position.
Okay, thank you so much. It was amazing, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, my pleasure. So glad you came.
We have a question from Sally, and I think it relates to several other authors that we have. She's done a collection of short stories with other writers.
Great.
And she wants to know if her website should still be her name.
So, I think all of the authors should have their own websites. And so if you want to have a website that is, so some authors have done this, and this might be a thing to think about, is that they've decided that they're going to pool their resources, do one website, and on PubSite, you can actually have multiple authors. You can have as many authors as you want, and have everything directed towards that one site, and they always publish together and all of those kinds of things. But if this is one project and you have novels, you have short stories, you have your own work, then I would say that you have your own website. You can list this project, you can list the author's names if you like, you can link back to them. But I would say that every author should have their own website if they have other projects besides this collaboration.
Well, Fauzia, that actually brings up a question in my mind then. You were talking about the first time that a work is published, that's what Google tracks it on.
Yes.
So in this situation where you have multiple authors in one book, is it like the first one out there gets all the
gets all the benefit?
The good benefits, yeah.
So I would say if you have multiple authors, each one should do the copy from their perspective. Why they decided to join this particular group, why they like this anthology, what their book is about, and then they can have some, generic content. But if each one kind of talks about their unique reason for joining this collaboration, that would make each one unique and individual, and it would make it so much more interesting for people to come visit too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
To see, I think there's I think that's it. Someone asked if there was a sign-up page, but am I missing anyone? If I'm missing you, maybe unmute and ask.
Yeah, someone asked if there was a contract.
Oh yeah, for PubSite?
Yeah.
Yes. When you go in to sign up, there is a contract, but it's in pretty plain English, and it just basically says, protects both parties, but you can read it. And if we're setting it up for you, we'll send you the contract so you can actually read it before you sign up for it.
Is it month to month or that you?
It is month to month right now, Howard. It's not, well, if you do it now, you can get it for $14.99 a month. After that, after 1 year, then it'll be $19.99 a month. We are working on an annual program. I have some clients who are asking me for a 5-year program. So we haven't done that yet, but it's on our wish list of program changes that we're going to make. We're constantly improving PubSite and making changes to it, and then authors just get the benefit.
Wonderful. You've done a great job in providing a service for authors. It's very clear.
And, thank you, Howard.
And on behalf of the Guild, I want to thank you for
I think
being
there's
with us
one
again.
Question. Can I just do Daniel's question? He seems very
sure.
I have a question too.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I'd like to just clarify a little bit about the domain name. Are you talking about setting up a domain name with our own name and then linking that to the PubSite? Because PubSite tells you what your domain name is, right?
Yeah, so here's the thing with PubSite is that every person who comes in and signs up actually gets a fully functional domain name, but it's fauziaburke.pubsitepro.com, right? So if you want to use that, you can. It's fully functional, it links, all of that. But of course, to be more professional, you want to have fauziaburke.com, which is what I've done. And so what you can do then is have your domain name separate. I always tell authors, keep that separate. And all you need to do is in GoDaddy or Network Solution, you're just pointing to your website. And so if any time you want to move to another platform, all you have to do is change the pointing. Your domain name stays the same and in your control. Awesome.
Hi.
That's great. Thank you, guys.
This is talk about a sidebar. Do people who also write screenplays ever try to market their screenplays in one manner or another, or monetize them, or just get them out there? Does that ring a bell?
So I have authors who have also written screenplays. Sometimes they'll have those screenplays listed on the website as a product, basically. And the reason they do it so they can actually send the description just via link to people who are considering it. So it kind of creates a little bit of almost a subscription page for them to use for marketing.
Okay.
They can do that. There was one other. Catherine, do you have one last question? Nope, I think, did we get them all? I'm so glad I was able to answer all your questions, and a really big thank you to people on my mailing list for coming to this presentation. It was such a pleasure. So
you're a pleasure, Fauzia. And before we end, I just want to mention next month, we're going to be discussing writing biography. And as our guest, we'll have Ray Straight, a man who's written scores of biographies, and it will be in the form of an interview with Jim Hitt, our past president, conducting the interview. And Jim does a wonderful job of interviewing. And Ray Straight is I would say, the godfather of our organization. He started the writing movement here in our local area. And he's a very interesting character. So I urge all of you to come next month. And we thank you again, Fauzia, for your information. And a lot of us will be contacting you, I'm sure.
My pleasure. I'm here. Let me know what I can do to help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Okay, and that's it for us. Does anybody want to stay in chat?
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.